Hi, my name is Akua Leslie Hope, and I'm speaking to you from the ancestral land of the Onondaga, also known as the Seneca, keepers of the Western Door, in the area currently called the Southern Finger Lakes region of New York State, in the city, the tiny city of Corning. I'm delighted to be here with you. I started my paper making journey in 1994, and I was among the first to have a website dedicated to my paper making explorations called Art Farm that I started in 1995, maybe 96. Um, Art Farm was sold a couple of years ago, so it doesn't exist anymore. But it holds a great place in my heart to have been able to exchange information. I also founded the hand paper making group on Facebook, and that's been around for about a dozen years now. One of my other early loves is poetry, and I've tried to marry these endeavors to cross the silos to make them come together. I began writing many, many years ago. I've been in print since 1974. I've won a number of awards for my writing, including the National Endowment for the Arts and the New York Foundation for the Arts. Just to say, I'm committed to poetry and paper making. And I came to paper making as a part of both grief work and the realization that I used an awful lot of paper. And I thought about this substrate, how important it was to me. I'd like to begin with origin. Loon, incarcerated moon, maimed outsider, what you gained in losing. Access to kings and consorts, elevation, a role on the great stage of empire. You observed, tested, experimented, refined the secret substrate centuries before Europe and all points between your farthest east. Your discovery would build dynasties, destroy tyrannies, transport ideas everywhere. Carry zeal and seals, images translucent, opaque, scoop clouds of floating fiber on mesh nets, drain the clinging wet, strain the nebulous to flat. Did you see the connections in everything beaten to a pulp? Moist, enmeshed, decanted to fabric, a new skin, origin. Spring harvest. The Mennonite voice came with the mother this time. Her gold disc earrings molten in cold spring, dusk hovering long enough to gather spent milkweed. Frank, who will study in Utah, gets it and gathers fistfuls of fluff, quizzes me about seeds and cooking, while the brothers dark and light, thick and thin, tug spent stalks from rain softened ground, filling my bags. The mother gave herself another chore and cleaned my yard of errant trash. After thanks and thanks, I sat in the graying glow, pulling seeds from silk, happily finding glistening, unopened strands in overwintered silver pods. Listening to far highways shush and close songbirds celebrating the coming warmth. spring harvest. Here's a trio of haiku: cattails, chocolate heads, unsmoked tobacco when pulp, fresh sheets smell cocoa. Curly docks stalk rust, green spears mottled red ring base, next year's promise here. Gray pods split open, silk feather shoots for brown seeds, makes milkweed paper. Abundance. This poem was in a hand paper making newsletter a few years back. Everything fuels the muse in this. Heaven and earth unite. Nature made it first, weathered and watered, cellulose, chewed, spat, or beaten to pulp, connected, dehydrated substrates carrying dreams across centuries, continents, oceans, bearing our marks, our image, our encoded breath, scores of our sounds, conveyor of our visions. This unwoven sheet can be cloth, might be sewn, shaped, sculpted with oil, resist rain. I, who used so much of it, scribbling, and loved its many incarnations, now make it too. In my pantry, piles of grayed milkweed offering dazzling options. For slow weeks, I crack hard stems and strip bast, pluck pods, feathery bounty, tiny white-winged shoots, detach their freight, seeds sifting, separating, each from their weight and duty preparing. After cooking, beating, water, pulling, cooching and pressing, drying, the fluff like kozo, sheer and strong, will make light gold paper. Pale bast will yield different delights. Cattail, burdock, teasel, chicory. Paper making teaches abundance. Roadsides crowded with possibilities. Horsetail, foxtail, Queen Anne's lace, Timothy, knotweed, corn husk, straw, kanaf, old jeans, worn cotton, no waste. So much everywhere to make more. Abundance. 2 haiku. Change trash to pleasure. Cook ragweed, dandelions, make green paper. Patchy lawn browns, fried under summer's sun. All weeds were plucked for paper. Paper. Always a kind of wonder, portable on which I could make marks, where mother made squiggles, sheet magics carried on trains. Stacks of these symbols imparted knowledge, and you, the knowledge bearer, rustled along city streets, collected in wire baskets after the time people would gather you themselves. You wrapped fish, packaged cheese sliced in grandmother's store, ribboned out of her adding machine, bore uncle's cartoons of us, folded, formed whales and fortune tellers, dites-moi pourquoi, Que sera, sera, cut, made garlands of wide-skirted girls holding hands upon hands, infinite plan, carried the crayon transcriptions of my dreams in technicolor. How I loved you, lined and unlined, brown or white. You were so precious when my father would gather green cloth blank books of you from his job for me to practice creating on paper. To haiku. Fiber rich stands wave, green ribbons far from highway. You seek wide shoulders. Seeking teasel, find wild field, unpaved road, burdock, stone steps to river. Paper making love for gin. Paper making is love. You can't bear to be without. You're always reminded and want to be with, doing, arms full of gatherings, pulling and cutting, shredding and bringing water, adding heat, simmering or saving and waiting through seasons, letting time change. Hard to soft, the soft mashed, washed, hands wet with pulp, wrist and forearms submerged, then emerging, lifting, pressing, moving sheets, and pulp fills every space available. Dried in cupboards, wet and frozen in the refrigerator and freezer, crowding food. So when company comes requiring space, you ache to infect them with your desire, that they too can know what whips by on the highway, slow, the glowed blur. Discern each untended gift, how treasures lay in plain sight in their yards. You steal time from other long overdue tasks to cut some knotweed, gather some timothy, trim some teasel tops, look for curly dock, harvest Johnson grass, mist flower to cook and feed your unbound desire to find and make love, paper making love for gin. 3 haiku. Milkweed unfluttered, monarchs froze, millions gone, mourn with white paper. Displaced Honda fries, carport stuffed with drying plants, gathered for paper. Come, weeds, break open. You are food, tools for paper. I know your secrets. From green comes sheets, where bones of earth show possibilities bloom in uncut fields, along roadsides, behind malls, dense, untended strips, self-seated, rife with rebellion, though suspect proffer cure. Everything indigenous is made illegal, unbidden, returns to neglected edges, weeded. Conformity is the way of infirm governance. Hemp holds strength. Its ropes contain her wild sibling, eases pain. Burdock purifies blood, inspired Velcro, roots pickled in the east feed ghost moths are mixed with carrots sipped in England. Teasel cups, water, and green high-rise pools, seed head combs, raised woolen naps. Echinacea heals colds, bears coned flowers. Wild lettuce offers anesthetic, psychotropic, cheap sleep, another free intoxicant. Heavy milkweed clusters, tumescent fragrance, fertilize, become seed whose down fills pillows. Within cattails, mud-wet folds, green, sweet cucumber. Garlic mustard, complex in the cooking pot, delicious, free, wild, early greens. Arugula, rockets, sweet, sharp, peppery tang along the tongue, spangles, dandelion salad, and all these make paper. From green come sheets. My last poem, Why Paper? I make paper because I must, because my hands hunger for the wet plant, for the earth fruit, for the cool mash, because it is of sun and green and sea, because I am mostly water, and this is about water coming and going, because I write, because I yearn, and paper is a blanket and a shield and a substrate for song and moment and image and air, because paper can shape space. Why paper? Thank you for listening. Peace to you all. May all be well. Joy in the making.